Ryan Alexander, and welcome to my latest Trump and Academia vlog report. If you're new to this series, these videos are where I summarize what the Trump administration has been doing to higher education and how colleges and universities have responded. Here are the latest developments since the last video, as of today, March 31st, 2025. I've organized items into 4 categories: federal level, campus cuts, DEI, and academic responses. There'll be copious links in the show notes. Let's begin at the federal level. A new executive order has Vice President Vance leading an effort to reform the Smithsonian museums, removing any DEI or trans content from their offerings. The same order tells the Department of the Interior to revise any monuments or other public statements which, quote, perpetuate a false reconstruction of American history, inappropriately minimizing the value of certain historical events or figures, or including any improper partisan ideology, unquote. Further, they'll make sure that, quote, all public monuments, memorials, statues, markers, or similar properties within the Department of Interior's jurisdiction do not contain descriptions, depictions, or other content that inappropriately disparage Americans past or living, including persons living in colonial times, and instead focus on the greatness of the achievements and progress of the American people, or with respect to natural features, the beauty, abundance, and grandeur of the American landscape, unquote. Turning to the Department of Justice, FBI agents raided a home belonging to Indiana University professor, provost, and cybersecurity expert Xiaofeng Wang. According to an Ars Technica report, the FBI has not explained its actions. Indiana University refuses to comment. Professor Wang is nowhere to be found. Wang's IU webpage is gone, which makes it look like he's been fired. Now, a multi-agency effort came about this week from the Departments of Education, Health and Human Services, and the U.S. General Services Administration, which, quote, announced a comprehensive review of federal contracts and grants at Harvard University and its affiliates. This review is part of the ongoing efforts of the Joint Task Force to combat anti-Semitism. The task force will review the more than $255.6 million in contracts between Harvard University, its affiliates, and the federal government. The review also includes the more than $8.7 billion in multi-year grant commitments to Harvard University, unquote. Turning to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE agents detained Ksenia Petrova, a Russian national and Harvard University medical researcher. Apparently, ICE sought to deport her to Russia, but she refused, fearing persecution for her anti-Putin views, and is now somewhere in American custody. University of Alabama PhD student Alireza Durudi, seized by federal agents, is still in detention, apparently in Louisiana. ICE seized another international student, this time at the University of Minnesota. No name has appeared in any press or official accounts so far. A Massachusetts federal judge ordered a stop to the deportation of a Tufts University Turkish student, Rumeysa Öztürk. Now, the Department of State has been very busy. Secretary Rubio stated that he had canceled at least 300 visas for international students and expected to do so for more. State will also conduct surveys of new and returning students, according to a leaked document, which describes studying social media profiles for people, quote, advocating for, sympathizing with, or persuading others to endorse or espouse terrorist activities or support a terrorist organization. Though the document doesn't explicitly define what constitutes as advocacy, it mentions conduct that bears a hostile attitude toward U.S. citizens or U.S. cultures, including government, institutions, or founding principles, unquote. State also sent an email to at least hundreds of international students, telling them to self-deport as the department had revoked their F-1 visas. I want to pause here to read the names of some of the academics seized or threatened with deportation by these offices so far. Rumeysa Öztürk, Yunseo Chung, Badr Khan Suri, Mahmoud Khalil, Alireza Durudi, Momodou Tal. Turning from the executive branch to the federal legislature, the Congressional Committee on Education and Workforce criticized Northwestern's Pritzker School of Law for supporting actions in people it deemed to be anti-Semitic, ordering the school to present a series of internal documents for investigation. Now, at the state level, Ohio's governor signed into law a bill which takes many steps against academic autonomy, including restricting DEI efforts, reducing the right to strike, reducing some tenure protections, banning Chinese partnerships, and more. Again, there's a link to a story about that and links throughout in the show notes. Now, our second order of business concerns cuts. And within higher education, one response to Trump actions is cuts to programs and operations. Earlier in March, Yale Law School suspended Associate Research Scholar Helye Doughtage for alleged ties to the Samidoun Network, a charity who some nations deem a terrorist group and one sanctioned by the United States Treasury. The suspension depended on an investigation. Yale then stated that Doughtage was not cooperating with the inquiry and terminated her contract. Harvard University removed 2 scholars from their positions leading the university's Middle Eastern Studies Center, although each retained their faculty status. The New College of Florida fired a Chinese faculty member, citing his nationality under state law SB 846, which prohibits state universities from employing citizens of certain nations. Kevin Wong had been teaching at New College for almost 2 years. It is not clear why the campus terminated him now. Now, several recordings ago, I mentioned the federal government threatening to cut $175 million from the University of Pennsylvania, but that formal actions had not yet occurred. Well, they just did, as Penn's president informed some professors that their grants were suspended. Turning to DEI, one of the area of cuts involves DEI, which is a particular focus for this administration. The University of Michigan, my alma mater, announced it would end many of its DEI efforts. Instead, U of M will repurpose those resources. Quote, in the months ahead, the university will shift resources to increase investments in student-facing programs, such as financial aid, mental health resources, pre-professional counseling, and other efforts that strengthen community, promote a sense of belonging, and expand accessibility. Unquote. I would watch to see other universities using similar language. Now, our last category is reactions, academic reactions to Trump, and there's been a lot of academic silence in response, as well as silence from academically adjacent people and enterprises. But there is also protest, there is resistance, there are actions. Now, New York University canceled the Canadian professor's talk. The researcher stated that this was because several of her slides discussed the horrible public health situation in Gaza. Johns Hopkins University requested that its students, faculty, and staff not hinder federal agents on campus. Here's their official guidance, quote, if a federal law enforcement officer takes action with or without awaiting guidance from Johns Hopkins legal and or public safety personnel, it is important that you do not intervene, as obstructing or otherwise interfering with certain government activity can be a crime. A, do not attempt to obstruct the officer's activities or block their movement in any facility. B, do not attempt to notify any person who may be subject to federal immigration enforcement that federal law enforcement officers are present, or engage in any behavior in an effort to enable them to leave the premises or hide, unquote. Keep in mind the context of this order, that there have been several academics who have not only been detained, but some of them have not yet been detained because they are on the run or in hiding. Now, in contrast to these actions, there have been statements of opposition. The American Association of University Professors protested Indiana University's treatment of Professor Wong. Members of the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine signed a public statement criticizing Trump administration actions, saying, quote, we see real danger in this moment. We hold diverse political beliefs, but we are united as researchers in wanting to protect independent scientific inquiry. We are sending this SOS to sound a clear warning. The nation's scientific enterprise is being decimated, unquote. One group of Harvard Law School faculty signed a statement calling out Trump's actions. One professor, Adrian Vermeule, posted his dissent from that. A group of Tufts University faculty, the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, signed a statement, and protesters took to the streets there, each protesting the detention of Ramesa Ozturk. University of Minnesota students protested the detention of an unnamed graduate student. Elsewhere, a coalition is still planning a day of academic labor action on April 17th. There have also been some international reactions. One Indian journal advised readers not to study in the United States this year. Some researchers are censoring themselves around the world in order not to risk running afoul of American and U.S.-inspired actions in their country, according to an important article by Nathan Greenfield. For example, quote, ABC, Australian Broadcasting Corporation's descriptions of one professor's research, global health disparities, focusing on specific populations across 4 continents, is admirably vague given what the research calls the scary situation they are in. The researcher spoke to the ABC on the condition of anonymity for fears of reprisal, unquote. In the United States, the journal Nature polled readers, asking scientists if they were considering leaving the country because of Trump administration actions. Out of the 1,600 responses, 75% said yes. To summarize, the Trump administration is continuing to go after higher education through multiple government offices and in many ways, from funding cuts to deportations and interfering in university autonomy. Academics are feeling impacts across the nation and elsewhere in the world. Members of the American academic community are starting to react in public, from issuing statements and holding demonstrations to filing lawsuits. Deportations of students are continuing. I can't believe I have to say some students are in federal custody while others are hiding from authorities, but that is where we are in late March 2025. I hope this video summary has been of use to you. Please share your thoughts, additions, and other reactions in the comment box below. If you feel that you cannot comment publicly, please reach out to me directly through the contact link at the end of today's show notes. This is a rough, dark time. It seems likely to get worse. I hope we can help each other out and fight. Please take care, everyone.